Hi there everybody, my name is George and I'm here to show you a little bit about the advanced features in ClickUp. And one of the first things I kind of consider an advanced feature is changing around the columns in list view. Now, some of you might notice already that my columns right here don't look like the ones that you have in your ClickUp, but that's okay because they're easy to customize, they're easy to change around. And one of the really nice things about changing the columns here is that anything that you add, you can sort by. So if I go over here to the ellipses, I can kind of go through here, and what we're going to notice is that anything that has a check mark is showing up, anything that doesn't isn't there. So I can go ahead and let's say I wanted to sort by status, right? I can go ahead and add it right here. Now that I've added it, I can sort by it, or if I decided that was a mistake, I can come back in here, I can uncheck status. The idea here is kind of that we want to make sure that we get this customized to what's going to be most useful for us so that we can quickly move around and be as efficient as possible. So speaking about moving quickly through here, something that I've started using more and more is the QuickSwitcher in ClickUp. So if you press K on your keyboard, you'll get this nice little pop-up, and what it's looking for is the name of base list or project. So as we can see on the left side there, it's a little bit grayed out. I have a space called content, so if I started typing content, it will help me out here. So it will take me to any of those places. I can also go to reviews if I wanted to, like you can see down there. If I want the list, it will get me there. It doesn't get you to tasks. So if I were to go to share our content, like we can see down there, it's not quite sure what to do with it, but it will take you to any of your spaces, projects, or lists. So some folks who like to use keyboard shortcuts a lot will find that they can go very, very quickly just by using this. Speaking of shortcuts here, we have slash commands in ClickUp. So if you want to create a task, and you can do that by clicking right here as well as at the top right if you didn't know about this little guy. But when I click on new task, it gives me a little box here, and you can type the name of the task here, or you can start putting in these slash commands. So something that I do every time I make a task for myself is I always start with slash, and you can see that this gives me the pop-up, so I can look through all of my options here, and then I type ME, which is going to assign it to me. And so you'll see over here, there's no one there, but when I press enter, and there you go, my face pops up. So there's a couple other options over here. So if I type slash, you can see you can assign it to someone else, and that's just typing out their name. So if I go slash A space, I can start typing their name out, so YOR, or I can just go ahead and click on it in the list. It doesn't matter. And if I press backspace, it'll just back us out of there. We could also set the priority and the due date. Now there's a lot more that you can actually do with these slash commands, but we have to be inside of the task to do so. So I'm going to go ahead and do that now. Some of the other options that we have for slash commands, as you can see here, are add a watcher. Same thing as status. You can close it, tags, list. We have a lot of things in here. I recommend taking your time and learning these. Get familiar with at least a couple of these. Find the ones that are useful for you, but they'll help you go very, very quickly. Something else I want to show you while I'm in the task that some people don't really get to all the time is subtasks. And subtasks, which are located right over here, have all of the options and abilities of tasks other than creating subtasks. So you can't have a subtask inside of a subtask, but other than that, you can do pretty much anything. So we'll go ahead and create a new one here, and I can go ahead and do my slash commands here. So I can assign to me, and then I'll just go ahead and call it hello. And I press enter, and now I can click right on the text there, and it takes me into the subtask. And like I said, this has all of the options that a normal task does, except for subtasks right down there. Now I can still do checklists if I want to, so I can add a checklist right here by clicking and do all the normal things, including use our templates, which I'll talk about in just a little bit here. So we can do a to-do checklist inside of our subtask. So if this is something that we need signed out to somebody, who's not me, let's say, but I need to keep the normal, but the parent task needs to stay in my name, that's a really good reason to do this. So we'll go ahead and assign it to someone else. And now this is their responsibility, and in here I can give them, specific things to do. Take out trash, and, even if I wanted to, I could nest something to tell them to take it to the green bin. So I just take my little guy here and I just drop it right there. So now they know. And we can have that in here. And we can even have its own attachments and its entirely own activity feed over here, as well as all the normal guys. So we can log time in here. We can set due dates. We can estimate. Subtasks are great, and you can have quite a few of them if you need. It's just another level of hierarchy, so it's not mandatory to use, but if complex tasks are kind of your business, this is really going to be something that's going to help you out. Something else that you might find really, really interesting, actually, is the ability to do recurring tasks. And this is a big one that I talk with folks quite often, so let's take a minute here. So if I click on those little arrows, it's going to give me two bubbles at the top. One says repeat schedule, the other says repeat trigger. We're going to focus on repeat schedule for now. But basically what I'm going to ask this to do is one of two things. And we'll see those right here. Either I want this on some schedule to change the due date of the task, meaning it's just going to shuffle this right along. Or if I click right here, I can have it create a new task. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a copy of this task as an entirely separate task somewhere else. Okay, so those are two unique different options, and there's different things going on with each. So let's go ahead and go back to change due date. And as I'm going through this, something to really keep in mind is that we have the breakdown of this right here. So if you ever feel like you get lost, always refer back to this box because you can click through these. It'll really help you out. Let's say that I want this to repeat every Monday and Wednesday. This is some maintenance tasks that we have in those and it always just needs to get done on those days. So I can even give it a time if I want. So let's say that it needs to be done by 9 a.m. and I don't want it ever to end, so I'll leave it right on never. But if it was a temporary thing, I could have it end after a certain date or exactly on a date. And of course, we want it to stay on change due date. And so we can refer right back down to here. So we have repeat every Monday and Wednesday after the task is closed, changing those due dates to the next occurrence, and the status to open. And it starts on November 12th, which is Monday, so that's perfect. So the other option that we have here is to create a new task. And this works a little bit differently. It's a little bit more simple because we're just making a copy of this task on those dates. So there's not as much going on. So we just repeat every Monday and Wednesday, copy this task with the status of open. Starts on November 12th, 2018, which again is the right date. You can change what it opens as. So if you have some other statuses, you can have it open in those. And when you're creating a new task, if you go to this task here, it will show you that you have some other options. You can go and say the first task or the newest task. So what it's asking you is, do you want to copy the very first instance of this task? So in some cases, you can have a blank template so that you always will have a fresh slate. Or if you want this to build on itself continuously, but for some reason you want to keep the previous round's work the way it is, then you can have this continuously build on itself and say the newest task, but it is defaulted to the first. There's a few different options in here, and that is the advanced options that are also found right here. And there are some other things in the change due date as well, some advanced options there. There's not enough time to cover all of it in just this little video, but there's some more moving parts, so I recommend playing with it or finding our doc online. You can always go to docs.clickup.com and read up on any of this stuff. We have a great search there, so go ahead and throw recurring tasks in the top, and you'll get at least one great article. So let's say that now we are super familiar with our subtasks and our recurring tasks. We're going to set this whole thing up, and let's say we spend an entire hour playing in this task and we set it all up. That's a lot of work, and I'm the kind of person where I like to save that if I'm going to use this same task again, but there are a lot of cool things going on. So what you can do is you can go to the ellipses here. And I mentioned this when we were looking at checklists a little bit ago. You can go to Save as Template. And when you save something as a template, you get to call it something, and then you get to decide what is included. And so this is a task, so that's what these are around. So I can either include everything, which a lot of times you will, but maybe you just had something particularly clever that you like in here. You can save just that thing. So you just click on Custom and then select the ones you want. But we'll go ahead and give us a name. So this is our advanced template, right? And I can go ahead and hit Save Template. So let's go ahead and show you how this works real quick. So I'll click out of here, and I'll go to New Task. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go to the ellipses up here. I'm going to click on Load Template. And it's going to be the advanced template because this is what we were just working on. And when I click on this, you'll see that everything's been brought in, including the subtasks, the checklist, all the assignees. Everything that I had in that other task, it's all saved. So if you get really, really crazy, really in-depth with one of these things, don't worry about it. You can save all of your work. And, I mentioned those work on checklists as well. So they definitely work there, but it goes up from there. So you can do lists as templates. You can do projects as templates. And you can even go all the way up to the space as a template. So feel free to get crazy with these things, get as in-depth as possible, get as in-depth as needed, and then you can pull the pieces out, save them individually in templates, or kind of mash it all together if you'd like. And one of the other things that I love about ClickUp is that you can get around really quickly, and the QuickSwitcher is great. Press K, it'll pop up right here for me, and I can type in where I need to go. But let's say there's something I'm just looking at all the time, and there's kind of like a default view I want. Or let's say the QuickSwitcher is great for getting me to the view, but I really want it to be set up already when I get there. What we can do is add a favorite. So right next to the QuickSwitcher is our favorites button. And what we have in here is the ability to essentially bookmark our pages in ClickUp. And these are really cool because they save your sorting, they save your filtering, they'll save what view you're in. right? So I can just click through these really quickly and you'll see it's going to change every time. And you can see that this one's a very specific list, right? So it's IT site structure and then the wireframes here. And so we can see the tasks that are there. If I go down through here, we'll see it's still a list, but it's a completely different area. And as we go, this one here has some sorting already in there. So I can click right through it. Same thing here. Takes it to a completely different view even. This is into the board view. And you can kind of see here that all the things were preset from the previous save. So we have our priority, our date created, the assignee, all of these things here, and that will stay consistent throughout. And it's easy to make one of these. You just set it up the way you like. So we can go to time view. We'll clear our filters. Go to any month, week view, whatever. And say we only want active sales folks. We just hit the plus button right here. We give it a name to save our favorite. We get to pick if we want the sorting and filtering. And then we can just hit create favorite and it will save it for us. And if for some reason we think we don't need it anymore, we can rename it or we can remove it. All right, guys, so that was a couple of our more advanced techniques and features in ClickUp. I hope that was helpful for all you guys. As always, if you have questions, please feel free to reach out to us. You can always click up here on the menu and go to Help. And in here, you can find our live chat. You can go see our on-demand demo. You can read through our docs or you can watch our videos. And I hope you all have a beautiful rest of the day. Bye.